UI gesture recognizer, and UI menu controller. In last chapter, you handled raw touches by implementing methods from UI responder. Sometimes you want to detect a specific pattern of touches that make a gesture, like a pinch or a swipe. Instead of writing code to detect common gestures yourself, you can use instances of UI gesture recognizer. UI gesture recognizer subclasses. You do not instantiate UI gesture recognizer itself. Instead, there are a number of subclasses of UI gesture recognizer, and each one is responsible for recognizing a particular gesture. To use an instance of UI gesture recognizer subclass, you give it a target action pair and attach it to a view. Whenever the gesture recognizer recognizes its gesture on the view, it will send the action message to its target. All gesture recognizer action messages have the same form, just like the font tab you will see later. When recognizing a gesture, the gesture recognizer intercepts the touches destined for the view. Thus, the typical UI responder methods like touches begin may not be called on a view with gesture recognizers. Multiple gesture recognizers. The first UI gesture recognizer subclass you will use is UI type gesture recognizer. When the user taps the screen twice, all of the lines on the screen will be cleared. The next step is to add another gesture recognizer that allows the user to select a line. Open Touch Tracker project and drawView.swift. First, add a property at the top of drawView.swift to hold on to the index of a selected line. Add an init method like this. In init, make it so the type recognizer waits until the double type recognizer fails to recognize the double type before claiming the single type for itself. Add type method to call location on the gesture recognizer, pass the result to index of line, and make the returned index the selected line index. When a double tap occurs on an instance of drawView, the method double tap will be called on that instance. Implement this method in drawView.swift. Still in drawView.swift, add an index of line method that returns the index of the line closest to a given point. The start method will allow it to start at the from value and go up to but not reach the to value, incrementing the value of t by the by value. There are other better ways to determine the closest line to a point, but this simple implementation will work for your purposes. Let's change the color of the selected line in draw method. Build and run the application. Draw a few lines and then type one. The typed line should appear in green. UI menu controller. Next, you are going to make it so that when the user selects a line, a menu with the option to delete that line appears where the user tapped. There is a built-in class for providing this sort of menu called UI menu controller. A menu controller has a list of UI menu item objects and is presented in an existing view. Each item has a title, what shows up in the menu, and an action, the message it sends to the first responder of the window. There is only one UI menu controller per application. When you wish to present this instance, you fill it with menu items, give it a rectangle to present from, and set it to be visible. Do this in drawView.Swift type method if the user has typed on a line. If you have a custom view class that needs to become the first responder, you must also override can become first responder. In drawView.Swift, override this property to return true and implement deleteLine method. Finally, add a property observer to selected line index that sets the menu controller to be not visible if the index is set to nil. Build and run the application. Draw a line, select it, and then type the delete menu item. You can also double tap the background to delete the selected line. The line and the menu controller will no longer be visible. More gesture recognizers. In this section, you are going to add the ability for a user to select a line by pressing and holding, and then move the selected line by dragging the finger. This will require two more subclasses of UI gesture recognizer, UI long press gesture recognizer, and UI pen gesture recognizer. UI long press gesture recognizer. In drawView.Swift, instantiate a UI long press gesture recognizer in the init method and add it to the drawView. Implement the long press method. Build and run the application. Draw a line and then press and hold it. The line will turn green and become the selected line. When you let go, the line will revert to its former color and will no longer be the selected line. UI pen gesture recognizer and simultaneous recognizers. First, in drawView.Swift, declare that drawView conforms to the UI gesture recognizer delegate protocol. And then declare a UI pen gesture recognizer as a property so that you have access to it in all of your methods. Next, in drawView.Swift, add code to init method to instantiate a UI pen gesture recognizer, set one of its properties, and add it to the drawView. To allow a gesture recognizer to recognize its gesture simultaneously with another gesture recognizer, you implement a method from the UI gesture recognizer delegate protocol. Finally, implement moveLine method. You set the translation of a pen gesture recognizer back to the 0 point every time it reports a change. Then, the next time it reports a change, it will have the translation since the last event. Build and run the application and move a line around. Works great. You can draw more lines to test as much as you like. All lines can be moved. Challenge: mysterious lines. There is a bug in the application. If you type on a line and then start drawing a new one while the menu is visible, you will drag the selected line and draw a new line at the same time. Fix this bug. Okay, see you next time.